Hello and welcome to Syndicate Gaming. My name's Jim, and today we're talking War of Kings and Gladiator. This is a pack that a lot of people are very excited about. It's going to be a pretty big shakeup to the game with 10 new crisis cards, new 6 threat character, so pretty massive. Coming out March 14th along with the Inhumans, so getting a pretty early preview, which is kind of nice. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Here is Gladiator in all his glory. I think this is a fantastic model. I mean, he's got the lightning coming down, the base is exploding, purple skin, mohawk, the cape. I think he looks great. He's on a medium base there. Um, I think this is an interesting choice to pair along with the crisis cards because I feel like most people are going to get this pack, and you know, Gladiator is like mostly well known, but not to a wider fan base. So it's just kind of a choice that I probably wouldn't have made, but hey, it's pretty cool. I think he's a fun character as we'll get into. So there he is. So really quickly, I want to talk about the crisis cards he's coming with. We got 2 of them previewed here. There's going to be 8 more, but I just want to talk about these really quick because this is going to be the biggest impact on the game, right? So we have one new secure, one new extract here. Guardian saves Shi'ar Empress in style. That's very tied into Gladiator, right? Like he works for the Shi'ar Empress. If you've seen X-Men 97, there's a lot more context with that. But it's a 17-point crisis. There's 4 points in like the B shape looks like, which same as Infinity Formula. Along those lines, it could be more like sword base, but you score 1 VP for each one you're holding, and it is a pay to flip. So you pay a power to interact with it. You roll 3 dice. If you get more successes than the number of enemy healthy characters on it, you now control it. But then there's this new little twist that they're doing where if the character that's interacting is holding an extract token, they can reroll a die in one of these 3. So it just makes it more likely to land, right? Like basically you're gonna have like a 75% chance to get, more than one character. Maybe that math is wrong, but something like that. So pretty good odds. So basically, what it's trying to do is incentivize you to get an extract and then go to the secure, right? Like they don't want you to run away with the extracts if they can help it. Now let's look at the extract, the 20 point, which is always fun. People love the 20 pointers because you just get to use more stuff in your game. Ship security breached in Royal Rescue. There's 4 key card tokens, assets on the board. You get 1 point for each of them you control. And you can only hold one at a time. And when a character holding a key card spends a power to interact with an objective token, after it's resolved, they gain 1 power. So basically, it lets you interact for free if you're holding an extract and already have the power. Like, you need 1 power to do the interact, but then you get it back. So this is in the shape of scrolls, which I like this map shape because it's kind of like everything's on the midline, but like if you just have a single long mover, you can get this one pretty safely. Is nice, and it's not scrolls where you just randomly get trolled, right, and get pulled into the enemy deployment and lose the game. So, um, so clearly they're trying to get you, to grab that extract and go to a secure, right? Which is good. Like, it's not very much fun to just grab extracts and run, which has been a viable game plan for a long time, specifically with like Steve Rogers and Black Cat, doing stuff like that. But I think my problem with this is that this just further buffs those high threat characters, right? That like to bully the board. Because like if your character holding an extract needs to stay on the secures in the middle of the map, they're just more likely to get wrecked by a Hulk or Thor or maybe a Gladiator. You know, like I guess that's the thing. You don't have to come to the secures, but you're incentivized. So we'll have to wait and see. There's more of these, obviously, but slightly concerned, I would say. And this secure right here, um, it's just so consistent for you to take these points that, like, let's just say you're playing on both of these crises. If your black cat starts on this point in the lower right, she can interact with this point, get her power back because she's holding a key card. Move to this point, interact with that, get her power back. She can then move and do her um range 2 place to get onto this one, right? And do another interact, and you're like 75% to get all three of those. So like your 3 threat character is pretty likely to take 3 points. If you just like do that on the last, you know, round of the game, that might be pretty tough. But I guess you have to then hold your black hat that long, right? But you could also do it with like Bill, who's much tankier, and I don't know. Maybe they'll play better than they look, but some initial concern here. But yeah, let's move on to the more exciting part with Gladiator. So, just a little bit of his backstory. He's like the leader of the Praetorian Guard for the Shi'ar Empire. He's clearly an alien. He's kind of like Superman, right? Like I saw on Discord yesterday that his name is literally a combination of Kal-El and Clark. So he's Clark, like which is obviously Superman. Um, I don't know. I just think that's kind of funny. It's like Marvel and DC just rip off of each other all the time. Well, let's get right into him here. So he's a 6 threat. So 4 physical defense, 5 energy defense, 4 mystic, 9 stamina, size 2, medium move. He's on a medium base, so he's fairly fast, and he has flight, so he's kind of like a lizard. And as we'll get into it, he doesn't have any other defensive tech, so he's just going off raw dice here, which are high. Like the dice are high, but that's usually not enough to save you, even with 9 stamina, because you can just get spiked. This is Marvel Crisis Protocol. You're gonna get spiked. So yeah, him being a 6 threat just automatically gives me warning flags because like every 6 threat that comes out is a problem. The only one that hasn't been a huge problem has been Apocalypse, but like, they clearly put a lot more time into him, and he can only take specific things and all that. So he hasn't been as much, but he did get 4th in the LVO Invitational. So people are starting to figure him out. I think this list is really cool. It's just straight up mutants plus bullseye. So I would love to pick this person's brain. I love Apocalypse, but just for reference, like Thor, Hero of Midgard, is in like half of the top 8, which in my opinion is way too many. To have a single character dominating a tournament, and he is the previous most recent 6 threat. So, um, yeah, let's get into him here. So, his strike is a Praetor Punch, range 3, 6 dice. He gains power equal to damage dealt, and every wild you roll, they lose a power. So, I'd say this is actually pretty below average for now. There are things later that will bump it up, but like range 3, 6 dice is pretty common on 5 threats now, and he's a whole threat higher, right? And then this wild suppressive, it's like good when it goes off, but it's just kind of extra. It's like you never plan on this. It's not your game plan, but it's just kind of a nice little extra. So a little bit lackluster here initially. And then he has a beam 4, strength 5, cost 2 power, I beam, which means his attack is going to be energy. Wild incinerate. So just a beam that can incinerate the whole enemy team. It's pretty sweet. Range 4 is really far, 5 dice, really good. It being 2 power is slightly concerning. I would have liked to have seen it be 1 power, but I think we'll see why later. It's good. It's 2 power. Then we have Magister's Might, another physical attack, range 3, 10 dice, but it's 5 power. So really expensive. and wild stagger and wild throw. And throw is before damage and throws them any size away short. So, I mean, this is good when you need it, I guess. Like if you really need to guarantee that finish, this is fine, but like 5 power is so much. And then you don't even get any guarantees, you know? Like it's possible to roll 10 dice and not get a wild, but that single wild just does so much for you. Like, just for context, if you look at like Kingpin, he has a spender that's 3 power that staggers and throws guaranteed, right? It's only 7 dice, but it's cheaper with guaranteed effects, which I think I very much prefer. So I'd say his attacks are a little bit down at the moment, but it might pick up later. So his first active is for the Empress and Empire, so that she our Empress. 3 power is cost an action. He makes a move followed by a Praetor Punch attack. If this attack deals damage, he gains a Confidence token. This superpower can be used only once per turn. So he has a charge that has to do the strike, and he gets a token, which we're going to get into here in a second. But his next superpower is Imperial Authority. 3 power. You choose a terrain feature of size 4 or less within 2 and throw it long. So a long terrain throw is really, really good, especially when he can place exactly where he wants to off of a charge. So, he can charge in, make sure he's within 3 of the enemy, within 2 of a size 4, and he's doing a bunch of damage, right? But that combo is 6 power. So let's get into his main mechanic here, the Majestor's Bravado? Don't know if I said that right. Magister's Bravado? When this character deals damage with a Praetor Punch attack, after the attack is resolved, this character gains 1 confidence token. When this character suffers damage, it loses 1 confidence token. This character may have a maximum of 5 confidence tokens at any time. Alright, so what do the tokens do? When this character makes an attack, it adds 1 die to the attack roll for each confidence token it has. Alright, so that really levels up these attacks that were looking subpar, right? So, like, his first attack is just going to be 6 dice, but when you follow up, it's going to be 7 dice, potentially 8 dice, because, like, if you charge in, do your Praetor Punch, if you deal 1 damage, you're getting 2 confidence tokens, so the follow-up attack is going to be 8 dice, which is really, really good, and you're gaining power off of that, right? So, like, he has an interesting play pattern in that he needs to like ramp up, right? And not take too much chip damage in return. So I think like early on in the game, you want to hold him to the end, right? And then send him in, have him do a couple attacks, and then you activate him first the following round, right? Because then you have your maximum tokens, maximum dice. Like you can get him up to 4 confidence tokens pretty easily that way. And then he's throwing 10 dice strikes, which is just bananas. Or like 9 dice beams with wild incinerate. His spender can get up to 15 dice, which is wild. And then just to wrap it up, during the power phase, he gains 1 additional power. That just helps him with, these superpowers and attacks that cost so much. But so he's just all about this confidence token mechanic, right? So he only gains them if he does his strike. Okay. And when he takes any damage from any source, he loses 1. So, like, if he's bleeding, if the Mayor Fist tokens damage him on the crisis, or like Gamma Waves damages him, he loses a token. If somebody has one of those like counter attacks, that on like Black Widow or like Taskmaster, he loses a die for his next attack. So he's really interesting. I'm not exactly sure what to think of him because he has like no defensive tech, right? Like if you punch him, he's gaining power, right? To do the charge and the throw and maybe the spender. but like he's losing confidence tokens. So it's just like it seems like it's worth it to put chip damage into him, which usually for these high threat characters, that's not worth it at all, right? Because you're just powering them up. But when you hit Gladiator, it's actually negatively impacting him. So it seems like they've thought about, how to balance these high threats a little bit more. But I mean, I'm just worried about that last first thing because, like, if you're bringing a sixth threat, you're probably going to be on a taller team, which means you have fewer characters than the opponent. So you can activate Gladiator last, right? Get 2 confidence tokens, hold, like, keep priority, and then activate him again. And you're pretty likely to, like, daze somebody with that initial activation and then KO them immediately with the second. Right? And you're even more likely to KO because you just have more dice. And, that's not even counting like ways to buff them up like tactics cards, or if you bring him with Thanos that gives him dice or any of that, right? So I, he seems really good. One of his major weaknesses is right now it's looking like he's going to be unaffiliated for now. Like he might be put into a future affiliation, but they put out the timeline document and he's literally listed as unaffiliated. So that is another balancing aspect, right? But we've seen in the past that if a high threat character is powerful enough, it doesn't matter where they're affiliated, right? Like right now, Thor being in Asgard really helps him, but he's still played elsewhere. The whole history of Cosmic Ghost Rider, Hulk, Malekith, like it doesn't matter where he's affiliated. So yeah, another thing to mention, he doesn't have really any control outside of his spender that costs 5 power, which is a big deal, right? Like, he's not moving everybody off points. He's basically just dealing damage, but he seems very, very good at dealing damage. So, yeah, I think he's strong. I think he's really good, which, fits Gladiator, but makes me a little bit worried for the game. Then on his flip side, he's exactly the same. So, I mean, 9 stamina is a lot. So if you have ways to heal him even, that's like really good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Gladiator. Basically he's going to be everywhere because everyone's going to own him because he's with the crisis cards. And then he's also just really strong and seems fun to play. So I would have a plan for Gladiator if you're going into events in the future. Um, well, here, let's look at his tactics cards to get a little more context because, these are these are both unaffiliated, so you can bring him wherever he is. So this one is Praetor or the Imperial Guard. So during his activation, he can spend 4 power, which is really expensive, but choose up to X other allied characters, where X is equal to the number of confidence tokens Gladiator has. Each of those characters gains 2 power. Okay. So when I first read this, I was like, this doesn't seem great because it's so much power. And for it to even break even, you have to have 2 confidence tokens to hand out, right? So if you have 4 power and 2 confidence tokens, you're taking 4 power off Gladiator and giving 4 power elsewhere. But as soon as you go over 2 confidence tokens, you're just benefiting, like you're netting power. So if we talk about this last first play that I mentioned, like he's rolling so many dice on this Praetor punch that gains him power equal to damage dealt, that when you KO that enemy or daze them, whatever it may be, he's gonna have a lot of power because the most he could spend is 3, right? It's for his throw, like after the charge. So like if you attack twice, get like 6 or 7 power, you can spend 3 to throw, and you might still have power for Praetor, and then the whole rest of your team is then fueled up to also just like hit really hard. And he's probably gonna have confidence tokens. Like he's probably gonna have like 4 confidence tokens to give your whole team 2 power. But, like, being, realistic with a 6th threat, you're probably 4 wide, so then you only need 3 confidence tokens, and that seems really easy with his play pattern, you know, because he's guaranteed to have the charge round 2, even if he does the interact. So, yeah, it just seems another way to kinda snowball that lead you get from an early days. So, this also seems really good for Gladiator. Um, Now let's look at his next card, Protector of the Empire, reactive. When another allied character is dazed or KO'd, Gladiator may pay 3 power to play this card. Gladiator may advance medium toward the enemy character that caused the effect and make a Praetor punch against them. If it dazes or KOs the enemy, he gets a confidence token. So if we just think about how this works, right? Basically, Gladiator can be anywhere on the board. There's no range restriction. It's just allied, dazed, or KO'd. He advances medium and then makes a range 3 attack. So he's on a medium base, right? So he's moving medium, range 3. That is really far. So he'd have to be like on the other end of the board for him to not be in range. But you can even play this just to get a free medium move, which is also really good. And then on top of that, if he gets the daze, he gets a confidence token. So he'll move medium, do a range 3 attack that gives him a confidence token, and then he gets another confidence token on top of that if he dazes him. So, and then when he activates, he's starting with at least 2 confidence tokens. So he's rolling 8 dice builders, and if he charges, it just ramps him up so quickly. I think it's kept in check by, you know, your opponent gets to decide when they daze or KO your ally, right? But like that's just gonna happen in a game of MCP unless you're against like web warriors, you know? So like maybe you don't bring this against web warriors, but against like everybody else, this seems really good, especially in this like, tall meta where you kill stuff. Like if we look at like Mike DeLuca won the MCP GT at a LVO. He had multiple games where he was outscored but tabled the enemy. Like Gladiator would be really good against that kind of thing, right? So, well, actually, what might be kind of funny if you both have Gladiator, like you could daze my character, I move my Gladiator and attack, daze them, and then your Gladiator gets to move and attack my Gladiator. So, I think the trap with this is going to be only using it if you think you're going to get the daze or KO. But I think you just do it, right? Like you advance media, make the attack. Like, yeah, you might give them some extra power, but when you're making such a huge attack with Gladiator that builds confidence tokens, it seems worth it to me. So, yeah, I'm thinking Gladiator is very good. Um, like slightly concerned just because, people that watch the channel know my history of these big threat characters. So, yeah, I think he's really strong. Um, yeah, I really want to see the rest of these crisis cards. I hope there's some that punish big characters. I don't know exactly how they would do that. Like, something maybe like a pay to flip that's like you can only interact with one a turn, so it wants you to go wide. But we'll see, right? Well, thank you everybody for watching. We're super close to 500 subscribers, which is like crazy to me that so many people are subbed. But if you're not subbed, please consider doing it so we can hit that mark. We'll have to do some kind of celebration. So, all right, y'all. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully soon. See ya.